I never want it to end. The rhythms are always just so smooth. Thanks to the team who puts that together every week. They love to change the music up and have us have just a little bit of fun. And thanks to Bob Gentle over there. Say what? I'm in. I assume in the show. So we're glad to have you. Everyone, welcome to another edition of Live Better, brought to you by my friends over at Wave.video. That's right, Wave.video, home of the new live streaming studio that's integrated with their video editor. Everything you see today was created in Wave.video. The show's produced and streamed with Wave.video. And when we're done, we're going to chop it up, cut it up, and repurpose it. You guessed it, in Wave.video. Now we want to make sure you do all the house cleaning kind of deals, the routine. You know what it is. Go in and subscribe, like our page, follow us, click the thumbs, click the bells, click the links. If you can click it, we want you to click it, and we'll see what happens. What should happen is that you'll get notified every time we go live so that you never miss an episode. And if you sign up for our email newsletter, we'll also send you tips and tricks and the latest that you can do with Wave.video, as well as some things to help you with your social media game as far as content ideas each month. So there you go, Wave.video. Make sure you sign up. Now, I am super excited about our guest today. And the topic that we're going to be talking about is finding your voice. And it reminded me of, and ironically, last week I brought up a story from the theater when I played Scrooge as well. And I hate to bring it up back to back, but it just fit the topic. You see, as a kid, I always wanted to play this character. I had played young Scrooge as a boy, and it was a tradition that every year the theater here would put on Scrooge the musical. It was the premier show in the town that I live in. And I knew that if one day I could play that role, I had arrived. Well, my turn came. I got cast, and the director that year was someone who had previously played the role for years. They were an icon here in the world of theater. And I found myself getting sucked into this moment of just in my head. And I kept trying to be him. I kept trying to play the character as him, and I never connected with it. And I wasn't connecting with the directors, the assistant directors, and the tech crew, and the people who were watching. There's like, something's not right. And it's because I was trying to play it the way the director, I thought, wanted me to play it, and that was the way he played it. Well, one day, a good friend of mine who was the tech director pulled me aside, and he kicked everybody out of the dressing room. And he said to me, as only he could and only he would, "Chad, what the was that?" And I told him, "I don't know. I'm just struggling finding my voice in this character." And he told me, "Stop trying to be someone else playing the character. We cast you to be you. Now go out there and do you." And I gave the character my voice, and the very next day, everyone said, "There it is." And it's when I started to be me and I found my voice that things started to click. So how can you do that with your business? How can you do it using live streaming and other things that are out there? We're going to bring in my good friend, someone that I absolutely adore, that I look up to as a business owner, as a marketer, as an educator, as a teacher, but more importantly, as a friend. Let's bring in Mark Schaefer. How are you doing, my friend?
First, I need to apologize because, you know, when I read your invitation, I thought it was like live better. And then I heard you say live better. I thought, oh, wait a minute, because I thought we were going to talk about health food. That's what I'm prepared to talk about today. So if we can pivot, that would be better for me.
I am 100% on board with that, folks. We're going to be talking today about how you can incorporate healthy eating habits to make you look better on camera.
Live better.
Live better. You know, when we were brainstorming ideas, that was mine that I threw out there, and I liked it because it flipped both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, good.
anyway,
So where do we start? Peas and
we
carrots
can
or what?
start. Well, we apparently we're starting with food, and healthy eating and choices
All right. I'll take your lead.
such as that. But let's slide just a little bit away from that, and let's talk about this whole voice thing. What does this whole voice thing mean?
You know, I liked your story about Scrooge. It was surprising. I normally don't like your stories.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
I took a risk.
But it reminded me of my own story. When I was starting out as a blogger, I was terrible. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was, you know, trying to blog, and then I thought, well, look, I need to figure this out. So let's find a blogger who really knows what they're doing, and I'm going to copy them. And so I found Chris Brogan. Chris is a wonderful, wonderful intellect and pioneering blogger. He was one of the first ones on the scene, really. And so I was trying to keep up with Chris. And I mean, the guy was blogging sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. It was just, you know, exhausting. And plus I had come from a corporate background. And so I had a certain idea that I, you know, needed to have my target audience and my persona and my content that's crafted for this audience. And I'm just a mess. And so finally, 2 things happened. The first thing that happened was that nothing happened. I didn't have an audience. Nobody was engaging with me. And the second thing that happened was I got bored. It was exhausting trying to be somebody else, as you mentioned in your story. And so I just kind of started to relax. And one day, if I was feeling funny, I would be funny. If I was confused about something, I would just say, I'm confused. And I would make a commentary on what was going on. And so I started adding my own personal narrative. I started pulling in things from my life to tell a story or illustrate a point. And that literally changed everything in my career, because instead of finding my target audience based on my personas, my ideal audience found me. I thought when I was starting out, Chad, that my audience was going to be like maybe East Tennessee, where I live. And what I discovered was that I had an audience all around the globe who appreciated me for my tone, my narrative, my stories, my values, my personality that I brought into the content. And that literally changed everything in terms of my trajectory.
Wow. I love that they found you, because we do with a lot of us like kill ourselves trying to find them. And I guess it's the old cliche from the Field of Dreams: if you build it, they will come. Somewhat, I'm sure that there's parts of that you agree with and don't agree with. By the way, guys, we'll make sure that you're using the hashtag Live Better. If you have questions for Mark, make sure you ask them, because at the end of the show, of course, we are going to be giving away our wonderful mugs. That's our subscribe button, which we also enjoy. But we're going to be giving away our mugs and our sticker packs with Wave.video, Live Better as well. So let's kind of go with that. Like you started writing and they found you, but is that like a 100% kind of guarantee with this? If you build it, they're going to show up?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's really hard to stand out in this world. I mean, it's always been hard, and it's more difficult now with all the competition. And but here is a truth that will never change: that to stand out, you need to be original, and to be original, you only have one choice, and that is to add your own personality, because there's only one you. You don't have any competition. And if you can create content that really has your tone, your, we were talking about finding your voice, has your voice, then you will find an audience. The biggest problem in social media marketing today is everybody's just trying to do, they're just copying each other. There's very little originality in the space. Everybody is doing what I started out doing. I was copying Chris Brogan and other people that I was looking up to, and it takes some courage to trust that if I tell my story my way, if I disagree with somebody, that the whole world isn't going to collapse. And there's a huge opportunity, I think, particularly in the marketing space, because I see very very little originality. So very little courage, really. So many people, we're just copying each other. And if you're creating content that can be Googled, right? So today, Chad and I mean, we're creating something that's unique. It's something you've never heard before. You'll never hear it again. It's here. It's now. It's original. You can't Google this and find the things that we're going to talk about today. That is a voice, right? That is original. You'll be hearing things from my perspective, from Chad's perspective, that can only come from us. And that's the originality that really, goes into making a voice.
Can someone, by the way, and I'd love to hear this story. Bob here says that Mark helped me find my voice and changed my life. So that's a heck of a statement there. But in the search for being you, being yourself, and being original, do you see moments where people maybe go too far to be this original version of themselves that's not really themselves?
That's a good question. There's two examples that come to mind. There was early in my days, I had a friend in the social media space who basically sort of faked everything. And he created an online persona that was a lie. And he came and had dinner with me one time, and he admitted, he said, I've done this and I've written this book. And he said, it's all a lie. And what happened is that he was exhausted, and he ended up having a mental breakdown, because you just can't, there's got to be an element of authenticity. You have to be congruent. You have to be the same person everywhere, or it's not sustainable. It's exhausting. The other thing that comes to mind is this idea of oversharing. And this is sort of tricky. I've seen people on the web who, let's say they suffer from depression and alcoholism. And I've had this in my family. I know what a terrible struggle this is, what a plague this is in a life. And so if you have a goal of being that person that's going to be a light and an inspiration for people to overcome depression and alcohol, that it's certainly appropriate and valuable for you to share your experiences. But if you are a freelance accountant and all you talk about is your depression and alcoholism, it's probably not going to work, because all things being equal, I'd rather not hire someone that's an alcoholic and depressed and talks about, I can't get out of bed today, as my accountant. Business is still business. So you have to sort of weigh the appropriateness of how much you share with your business goals. If your goal is to get people to stop drinking and be an inspiration, then that's exactly what you should share. But if you want to increase your accounting business, you need to display leadership in another way.
Gotcha. So it's important to make sure that your personal and your business pages, are the days of keeping them separate over? I mean, is it just they just overlap? It is what it is. People know how to find you. They know how to see
I
your
think
stuff.
so. I mean, again, because I think it's sort of exhausting, to try to be two people. I mean, there's certain parts of my business life I don't bring into my personal life, and certain parts of my personal life that I, don't, bring into business. But I think in terms of, who you are as a person, your values and what you stand for, you've got to be, congruent.
Absolutely. Now I'm gonna switch us back here to something real quick, just because I wanted to share something with everyone. Folks, I know that not everybody is. Let's see, we've got this. Hello, Mark. Let's get to the. Going to be able to do everything that Mark's done. Although, if you really want to, you can go and do it. But we're going to be talking about live streaming. But Mark, you've been a big blogger, which has then, of course, led to the books and things that you've written. And I just wanted to bring this up, folks, so you can kind of see a little bit of what Mark has done. Still going. And the latest, Cumulative Advantage. Of course, all those books are available online. And of course, Mark, you already know that Cumulative Advantage is absolutely my favorite book, because I got it in the mail. I opened it out of the box, sat down on the couch, and I did not get up until I'd finished reading it all the way through. It hit me that much. I know that you've mentioned that things have changed. The way we have to do things have changed. The pandemic obviously has made that a thing as well. It's changed everything for everyone, a lot of the ways that we do things. But at the same time, some of the principles are still the same. Now, this show obviously live better or live better. Either way, we can go with that. But from the live streaming side of it and finding your voice and getting out there, what are things that somebody could do with live streaming to help them create and find a voice?
Well, I think the subtitle of Marketing Rebellion is "The Most Human Company Wins." And that certainly has been a theme in a lot of my work, a lot of my writing, a lot of my talks. And I believe it with every fiber of my body. And so if you think about what does that mean? To me, it means looking at everything you're doing in your business and thinking about how can we make that more real, more human? How do we show our faces, our smiles, our heart, our passion for what we do, our compassion for our customers and our community? How do we look at every email, every text, every meeting, every complaint, and try to find a way to show up in a more human way. Because I think that is the company that's going to win in that niche or that industry. One of the best ways to do that is through video. I mean, today, not only are you hearing my words, you're seeing my face, you're seeing my expressions, you're hearing what's important to me, the passion. I brought up something, this idea of congruency and maybe, not oversharing. That's a little bit, might be come across as controversial because a lot of people are saying, no, always be authentic and, and I
Now,
have more of a position of being.
luckily, we do live in a world today where people don't seek out controversy. So.
Yeah, no, that never happens. But I mean, my view is to be, more strategically authentic, is to, think about, what the heck you're doing out there. Don't just, say everything that's on your mind. Have a little bit of a filter if you want to be a professional. So I think, again, the most human company wins to the extent that you can use video to connect with an audience. It's probably the best way to come across as human, till we get to the point where you and I are, holograms in the metaverse. This is probably the best medium that we have.
All right. I'm still not 100% sure you're not a deep fake. So
I know it's going to be hard to tell.
I know we've had some fun discussions about that particular one.
That's a whole nother show.
Absolutely, and we need to do that one. It'd be fun to bring a couple of the people from the Uprising, the event that you hold every year. Which, by the way, guys, if you get a chance to go to Mark's event, the Uprising, absolutely incredible and the best thing I think I've ever gone to. It was intimate and just my head was kind of like overflowing with all of the deep things that were discussed. It was really, really cool. So thank you for putting that on.
It's the best thing I do.
Well, and I've seen the other stuff that you do, and I agree. It's definitely the best, but it's all good. It's all good. Somebody made a comment about, by the way, 10 books. Kind of blew their mind. That being said, somebody goes, by the way, and does go to look up books that Mark Schaefer has written. Is there kind of a packet of the books that you've written that you're like, okay, these are the ones, they all go together, this is going to get you there?
It's I actually have a thing on my site. If you go to my website, businessesgrow.com, and you go under publications and click books, there's actually like a little like recommendation engine that says, cool. Okay, where are you in your career? Are you a student? Are you an academic? Or, what's your experience level? And it'll kind of say, okay, here are the 3 books you should read, and read them in this order. So that's on the website. I think, hopefully that helps people. Many people have told me that the last 3 books I've written kind of go together as a set. This is not something I've suggested. It's not completely surprising because I think the books chronologically sort of are an unveiling of my thought process over the years. So there is a connective tissue sort of through the books. And to suggest that the last 3 kind of go together is not totally surprising. But, it's all about, I think the most compelling issue for any of us in business and marketing today is simply this: how can we be heard? How can we be found? How can we be seen and discovered? And it's hard. So starting with known, it's a process for an individual to work through really a plan, a workbook, and have a system to become known, and it works. And then Marketing Rebellion is kind of a wake-up call to show that a lot of the things that we've been doing in the world of marketing just don't work the way they used to anymore. And then Cumulative Advantages. Okay, here we are. We've gone through known. We have a plan. We're using some of the ideas in Marketing Rebellion, and we're still stuck because we're great. But even if you're great, it might mean that you're buried. How do we create momentum to get to the next level? And that's what Cumulative Advantage is about.
So, by the way, folks, I know typically you're probably used to hearing maybe a little bit more tech-related live stream, very live stream specific things on the show, and we're kind of expanding the bubble a little bit today into principles. But everything that we're talking about today, and everything that Mark's sharing, totally relates to and can be become part of your strategy.
I think it's, in some ways, it's the most important thing. I was at Social Media Marketing World, and someone was asking me about, she was creating a show about how to market your book. And she said, "Will you be on the show?" I said, "Well, really, you only need one episode." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, if you want to have a successful book, live stream show, podcast, you need to be known, right? You've got to have an audience. If you're either you're known or you're not. If you're known and you can build an audience, then you're going to get more opportunities. More doors are going to open. More phone calls will be returned. And the longer you do it, and the more you are consistent, put your heart into it, the more your audience grows, then even more opportunities come. So this idea of finding your voice, being unique, creating something that no one has created before. Don't ask. Here's an example, chat, about finding your voice and why this is so critically important to the message you're trying to bring to your audience. I was invited to a podcast, and the guy wrote me an email, and he said, "Here are the 10 questions I ask every guest." How awful. You're just leaving so much on the table. Here is this unique individual with this unique perspective and insight and experience and history and stories. And you ask everybody the same 10 questions. You, sir, are checking a box. You are not creating meaningful content. You're checking a box. And so this idea of finding your voice, that's how you're going to unleash your show, whatever you do. So it definitely is all connected. I think it's very important.
If you were going to give somebody, let's say just three first steps that they can take to help them find their voice, what would you suggest?
Yeah. Well, in the known book, there's tons of ideas about this, and I think one of the exercises in the book that I think can get people focused and really help them find their way is to think about how you would finish this sentence: only I, or if your company, only we. Now that might seem difficult. It might seem daunting, but it's essential to figure that out. And I've never met a person or a company that we haven't been able to figure that out. If you can't really explain, if you can't finish that sentence, only we, then you really don't know, how am I different? How am I distinctive? Why is this important? Who is my audience? Where is my audience? Who are my competitors? To know that only we, you've got to explore all of that. And once you have an idea of only I or only we, it unleashes every possibility. It's completely liberating because now you know this is what I'm about. And everything can be cohesive. Everything can be coherent. So that's a really, really important first step. And there's lots of exercises in the book we're talking about known to help you crystallize that. If you're working for a company, go ahead.
If we got some people to comment and share, maybe they have one figured out or they think they have it, they're only I statements. If we have some time a little later on, would you be willing to pull a couple and just look at them and give them some insight? All right, folks, this is a big chance for you.
The biggest mistake I see is that people will say, oh, only we have the best customer service in our city. False. That's something my insurance agent can say. That's something my garbage people can say. It's got to be something that really is unique that only you can say. And another way to look at this is to think about, what makes you come alive? What have you gone through in the last 2 years where you've thought, wow, this is why I'm here. This was the best thing. For me, it's like the uprising. The uprising, this retreat I have, it's like, I'm a teacher, and these are my students, and we're all here together, and we're sharing ideas, and we're having fun together. It's just like, oh my gosh, this makes me come alive. So that really helps define where I want to be as a brand. What's my place in this world? How do I communicate about me and what I do and what I stand for? So, and then you asked me, what would be the early steps? The other thing is, by the way, I got someone here. It's Kate. She had a comment here. I want to pick up on this because it's a good one. She said, how can you ensure that there is, oh no, I thought I was misreading it. I thought she was saying, how do you know it really is, you're the only one? It's not really important. Like I was on vacation recently. I actually took a picture of this. There was like this liquor store and it said the coldest beer in Florida, right? Who's going to check up on that? Do you need to do you need to get legal counsel before you put up that sign? No, just claim it. I was working with a lady. I have to actually have a personal branding masterclass. You can find that on my website. I think it's pretty easy to find. And she is this amazing person who explores small town life in America. And she's creating all this amazing content, taking all these amazing pictures. And I said something about you should just say, I'm America's small town expert. She said, well, how do I know? I said, well, who is it besides you? She said, well, there isn't anybody. I said, then claim it. Just be it, right? Don't overthink it. And I think that it doesn't have to be perfect. Take your best shot, because what happens, and I'm sure you found this out too, Chad, is that when you started this show, you had a thesis about your only I. You had a thesis about how the show would be organized and flow. And then your audience said, hey, Chad, this was great. I really like this. You had a question, you had a comment, you had a guest that changed you a little bit, right? So it's helping you refine your place. We create content, but content also creates us.
Oh, wow.
It helps us to be better creators. It helps us to be better creators. It's like the sculptor chipping away the beauty under the stone. The audience chips away, helping you to find the true personality of your content. I've been blogging, I don't know, since 2009. I've had a podcast we're going on our 10th year. And it morphs, it evolves, it changes as I grow. It still stays within certain boundaries, but my audience helps me grow. My audience leaves me comments and sends me messages, and it helps bring out the best in me and makes me a better creator.
Wow. I hope you guys are all taking notes, because I've heard Mark speak. I've spent tons of time with Mark, and every moment I get with him, there's always tons to take away. And so this is just up there's my wife just quoted your comment about
Hey,
we
Lainey.
create content, but content creates us. Yeah, that one was.
Lainey, you are awesome. I miss you.
Well, hopefully we'll see you guys in September. That's kind of our goal
Yeah.
there, but that's neither here nor there. People, you don't need to know about our travel plans. Listen, I want to share something with the audience real quick about something we have going on at Wave that to help them with finding their voice and using the new tools and live streaming here. But when I come back, though, I'd kind of like to touch a little bit on this question from Yulia, who is an SEO guru. She's like the search engine, SEM rush. Let's see what's going on, find the keywords kind of person. And so her question when we come back is how to show your unique self, but still get discovered when people are searching. All right, guys. So take a look at this, though. Here's something we've got coming up starting next week here. All right, so that's going to be a lot of fun, guys. We're going to just be doing just little simple tasks to help you get your feet wet with the new Wave Studio and live streaming in general. We're going to make it fun. We're going to make it easy. But now let's get to something that possibly could be a little bit more complex, and that's Julia's question here about how do you still be your unique self, but also make yourself searchable?
Well, it's an interesting question. I'm not sure you can do both. I think my view is that for most, and Yulia, you're not going to like this. If you're an SEO guru. So, I mean, let's be frank. For most businesses, you're only going to win the search results if you're the big bad junkyard dog of your industry, right? I mean, it's cutthroat. It's a constant battle for the top 3 slots, and it's the big bad junkyard dogs with the most money that are going to win. I am a digital marketing consultant. Am I ever going to win SEO for digital marketing consultant? No, never, right? So I have to create content that earns my own audience, so I don't need people to find me on Google and YouTube. That I create content that's so cool, so interesting, so unmissable that people share it, they engage with it, and they subscribe. And if you build a community like you're doing here, Chad, you don't need SEO. You don't need ads, because the community will support you. So, I mean, Chad mentioned this thing, the uprising. So it's this event. People come to Knoxville. They pay money to go to this retreat. I don't advertise it. How would you even find it on Google, right? Who comes to this retreat? It's people in my community. Who comes to my classes? Who comes to my workshops? The most popular blog post I ever wrote was about content shock, right? Got thousands and thousands of shares and comments. It was a word I made up. You couldn't Google it, but it went viral because I wrote something that was original and heartfelt and compelling, and I added my own story. So, I mean, you kind of have a choice. do you become a slave to Google, or do you say, screw that, I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to create my own audience. I'm going to build my own community. And that's all the marketing that you need. If you have a group of people who feel like they belong to you, they're going to love finding ways to support you.
Yeah. Do you create to be found or
really
create to be craved?
Yeah, right. I don't know if I want to be craved, but yeah, I do want to be craved.
That's right. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you do. Now,
yeah, but I mean, I want to emphasize something here. That look, when I started out, I didn't know what I was doing. I was exploring and fumbling around, like many people who are just starting out. So it's not like I have some innate wisdom or something like that, but I do have this experience and this perspective now that's just like, hey, this is how I should have done it years ago. Instead of trying to win this Google thing. I had a coaching call with a guy last year, and he is obsessed with SEO, and he works on it every day. And he said, oh my gosh, Mark, I am so happy. This is such a big day. I've been working on this for so long. Today, there's a certain keyword. I moved from number 15 to number 14 after 8 years of work. He's still invisible. Now, what if he had put all that work into truly human, helpful, compassionate, generous content, and built a community that isn't going to go to page 3 to try to find you, but they subscribe to you. When people subscribe to this show, here's what they're saying, Chad. I believe in you. And it's okay for you to talk to me about Wave.video because I love this and I love you. And I'm going to support you and I'm going to support Wave.video because I'm part of this community. You don't need, if you have that kind of community and connection, you no longer need SEO. This is the future of marketing. Someone in the chat had a question about Web3 and, I launched this creator coin called Rise. Look, this is so complicated. Metaverse and Web3 and tokenized economies. It's overwhelming. Here's the only thing you need to think about, because this is, that was slick, man, putting a little Rise coin thing in there. But all this technology, it's to help. It's to help people belong. It's to help people create community, right? So live streaming, Chad is teaching you all these tricks. He's having all these guests. Some of it could be overwhelming, but you just have to think, how do I use this technology and these tips and tricks to help create a community that feels like they belong? And that is the ultimate marketing.
With, you're creating content and people want to consume, they want to read, they're getting value out of it. Where does the two-way communication component though come into play? The engagement and the talking back with them. How important is that to the whole equation?
I guess it depends. Let's put it this way. So one of the most popular marketing blogs in the world is comes from Seth Godin. You cannot comment on Seth Godin's blog. He has no engagement. There's a lot of accounts like that, right? So is it critical to have engagement to be a superstar? Not necessarily. However, I think to be the most human company in your field, it is. So, Seth Godin is not the most human person in our field because he's basically inaccessible. He's, out there someplace we can never really reach him or connect with him. A lot of people have said to me, "Oh, Mark, the reason why I like you and I follow you is, you're nice and you're accessible." And I think it's rather sad in a way, Chad, that being nice and accessible is a point of differentiation. I mean, that just seems crazy to me. It doesn't take that long. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I like maybe 180,000 followers on Twitter, and, tens of thousands of blog readers and people that listen to my podcast. And if people make an effort to connect to me with a comment on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, I try to respond back. I mean, sometimes maybe something will slip through the cracks, but it doesn't take that long. I'm not Taylor Swift. If I was Taylor Swift, maybe no. But it takes me 10 minutes a day to, say thank you for doing this nice thing. And that's how I'm using this Rise community too, this creator coin, right? For me, this is 100% about finding a way to build an engaged community. And the thing I love about this most of all is that so far in the history of the social web, there really hasn't been a way for me to give back. So if someone buys my book and they leave a review, I might say thank you. But now with these creator coins, I can send them some coins. I can send them tokens that are, valuable, that they can exchange for different things. So it's like, it is two-way. It's not just two-way engagement. It's like a two-way economy. And it's absolutely fascinating.
So would it be safe to say that somebody is going to have a better chance of finding their voice if along the journey they also acknowledge the voice of those who are following them then?
I mean, that's my philosophy. Like I said, I don't want to block out the opportunity that if you're like, some superstar, like Seth Godin, that, you can kind of be above the fray. But, I really haven't seen too many examples of people who have been able to build a community and build an audience, without engaging. So it's something that's very important to me. In fact, it drives my wife crazy, because even like when high school kids, they're like working on a project, they'll say, "Mark, can I interview you for my project?" I never say no to a student, right? I mean, who knows what impact that's going to have in the world, right? I could respond. It could send a new ripple through that kid somehow. And so, I mean, I take a lot of time engaging, which, like I said, drives my wife crazy because she doesn't understand why I do it. But, it's an opportunity to send those ripples through the world.
No, and if anybody sends ripples out there, Mark, you're definitely one. Those who don't know, Mark also mentors the youth and people who need kind of a father figure in their life. He's always just willing to give the shirt off his back to someone in need, and that's something that I definitely admire about you. And unlike some who may just do it because it's like, oh, it's the right thing to do, or I'm supposed to do it, I've seen the emotion that you connect to, not just the things that you do, but the people that it affects. I know how much that means to you, and that comes across in your content as well, by the way. And I think that's maybe something that's, I'm more of an empath kind of guy, kind of like, I feel the things people are feeling and can kind of maybe relate in that. For some people, maybe that comes a little more naturally. Is there a tip or a trick or something someone you can give to someone who maybe struggles with that?
It's funny. I just wrote a blog post about that. That's going to publish on Monday. And I'm reaching these milestones in my life. Like my first job in the corporate world was 40 years ago. Don't do the math. It just depresses me. My, return on influence was 10 years ago, and known was 5 years ago. And all these milestones are kind of lining up. And I don't really care about those things. I don't celebrate those things, but it made me reflect on what are the big lessons I've learned along the way. And one of them is that the importance of the fire. And what I mean by that is the hard times. So when I thought about my career, it's just like the things that bubbled to the top were the worst things. It wasn't like I won an award. It wasn't like I closed a deal. I have, it wasn't because I got a patent or I wrote a book. It was like the bad things. And I thought, that is really weird. That is something to reflect on. Why am I preoccupied with like the bad things? And I think it's because when you suffer, it makes a bigger difference in the long run than the victories. Success is ephemeral. You have a good day, you have an accomplishment, and then you're on to the next thing. But going through the hard things is a process that makes you different. And every time you suffer, it's an opportunity to embrace that and have a new superpower. Every time you suffer and go through something really hard, a betrayal, right? Or, a crash in your business, it's an opportunity you now have to be able to look someone in the eye and say, I know how you feel. I've been there. Wow. You can't say that. You can't have that empathy unless you've been through that. It forges you into something new, and it forges you into something better if you choose to embrace it and learn and grow instead of soaking around and dwelling on it. It's not always easy, and maybe it's never easy, but it is a choice to view it. You're putting on a new cloak, a new superpower, or it's something that you're going to be mad about for the rest of your life.
Wow. Mark, I appreciate everything that you've shared with us today. Of course, I could talk to you for hours, but we all have things we have to do. That being said, we hit the hard topics and we have our great discussions, but we always like to have a little fun at the end of the show. And so if you'll bear with us, we're going to do something right now, and we hope everyone will play along and have a good time with us as we play a short little round of this or that. Okay, this is really simple. We're just going to bring up a couple things, and it's your chance to let us know which you would prefer. Might ask a follow-up question. We love to see what everybody else has to say, but let's go. And let me preface this by saying most of these are incredibly surface and somewhat meaningless, but that's okay. We're going to have fun. All right, first one, this or that. Would you rather be a TV star or a TikTok influencer? Would you rather be a TV star or a TikTok influencer?
TikTok influencer.
I have to ask why. I'm curious.
I think because I just love Gen Z. I'm in awe of Gen Z, and if I could find a way to connect with Gen Z, I would be so happy.
That I believe 100%. That is 100% an authentic answer. And it's interesting is that everybody else in the comments is saying they'd rather be a TV star, but my guess is most of them are probably trying to stay away from Gen Z.
I have no desire to be I don't want to be. I don't want to be a celebrity. I'd hate that. I'm too much of an introvert.
Oh, and isn't that funny that people would probably never guess that? But that's another discussion for another day. All right, here we go. Let's do another one. Would you rather have a paper cut or a thorn prick?
Thorn prick, because that means I've been outside instead of in the office.
Fair enough. I was thinking thorn prick because no matter what, if I have a paper cut, it's like suddenly I find every liquid that burns. Don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I avoid them otherwise, but if I have a paper cut, suddenly I have my hand stuck in vinegar. Everybody seems to be saying Thorn. Okay, how about this? Harry Potter or Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. It was just such like a cinematic masterpiece. I never really got into Harry Potter. My whole family loves Harry Potter, but I never got into it.
I still haven't seen Game of Thrones, so I have to say Harry Potter. So I guess that's something I need to rectify. By the way, Bob says you're a total celebrity in his house.
Oh, I had so much fun with Bob at Social Media Marketing World. Bob witnessed my first and only public hug in the middle of a speech.
Which is
crazy thing happened. Yeah. Just a lady needed a hug in the middle of my speech, so I gave her a hug.
So those who don't know, Mark was on stage and he just heard this incredible sigh.
Yeah, and it was like a whale. The whole room could hear it.
And Mark asked if you needed a hug.
I said that sounded like a cry for help. She said, "Yeah, I'm really, sad, sad about these things." And I said, "Do you need a hug?" She said, "Yes." So I went down and gave her a hug.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And
in hindsight, it might not have been the best thing in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, that's hindsight.
But also, and I'm surprised that didn't become a TikTok challenge, but there was also some type of a photo pose that you kind of branded and initiated, I believe.
Well, yeah. I don't know what it was. I did something in my speech. I'm always self-conscious. The photographer shows up. It's just like you're supposed to ignore the photographer and you're concentrating on your speech and the audience. And there's this photographer and he's right in your face and he's down on the stage and he's moving all around. So I just turn to him and give him a pose. And usually I'll Vogue or something to get it out of the way so that he can leave. And so I did something. I don't even know what it was. I think it was like a Vogue.
Something like this, wasn't it?
I don't know. But then everybody started doing it.
Yep. I've seen several photos with it. That's hilarious. Okay. All right. Yeah. Just two more here. Would you rather know how you'll die or when?
Probably how. That would freak me out if I knew when I died. Geez, that would really freak me out.
Yeah, I think I would go more with a how you'll die. I'm curious to see what the rest of the people who view this comment and say. I think if I knew when, I don't know if I like when. There's either okay, I only have this much time, I have to do all these things, or there's when it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. All right, last one. Oops, that's not it. Free coffee or free donut?
That's easy. Free donut. Because I have to eat gluten-free. So if I ate a donut, I'd get sick.
Okay, that was too easy. So I'm doing one more.
All right.
Would you rather meet Pope Francis or the Dalai Lama?
Probably the Pope. I grew up as a Catholic. So, he's kind of like the family rock star.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I think for me it'd be the Dalai Lama. I just think I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I'd go for either one.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's a loss there. So
yeah, anyway. But if I got to go to Pope Francis, then you get to go to Italy, eat lots of food. The Dalai Lama, you got to go top of a mountain or something.
True. It's a different trip for sure. Anyway. Mark, I thank you so much. And one of the things we want to do to kind of thank you for being here today, I used to have a show where we put people in an elevator and we let them kind of pitch their business. But this is Wave.video and waves are in the water. And so I decided let's let our guest hang out in a submarine. And so we're going to jump into a submarine. As soon as it starts to descend, the mic is yours. You can promote whatever you want. Talk about whatever you want, soapbox, whatever you want. It's yours until the submarine comes all the way back up to the surface. So don't stop when we get to the bottom. It's yours until we get all the way back up to the top. So this is your submarine pick.
I'm not a salesy person. Yeah,
I know.
Mine's just stagnant. So I have unlimited time. So there.
And I'll be right here if you need me.
Yeah, I'm not a salesy person. I don't see the submarine moving.
But, it's coming now.
Oh, now it's starting to move. Okay. But I would just say, look, I generally follow everybody back on social media. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, follow my blog, that would be great. You can find, we talked about my blog, my podcast, The Marketing Rebellion. We talked about my books. We talked about my Rise coin in this community. You can find all of that at, I'm pointing the wrong way, Businesses Grow. Businessesgrow.com. That's my website. You can never remember how to spell Schaefer, but you can remember Businesses Grow. So, and Chad, thanks so much for being so prepared, asking such interesting questions. And I appreciate you and your support and friendship and leadership.
Oh, well, I appreciate that as well. Guys, we're going to give away just a couple prizes real quick, and then we will all be on our way. All right, folks, the winners today, JS, thanks for hanging here with us. Bob, thanks for being here with us as well. Our winners today with the sticker pack, the much coveted and craved Wave.video sticker pack, which has, of course, your own copy of Yellow Chad. Yes, it's a thing. That is going to Phoenix Electra's Circus. And the winner of our Wave.video Live Better Yellow Chad coffee mug is Bob Gentle. So congrats. Make sure that we'll put an email up on the screen for you to email Yulia, get your information, and we'll get those sent out to you. Mark, what I can't emphasize again, it's a privilege to spend any time with you. I love your stories. I love who you are, and the difference that you've made in so many lives in the world and in my life as well. You've been
Chad.
A dear friend, and I'm grateful for you. Folks, we will be here next week, same time, and we are going to have the one and only Matt Johnston, who's a video ad expert, and we're going to talk about ways to use live streaming to promote products. And he is definitely a guru. So join us. We'll be here Wednesday, noon Eastern, as we all learn together how to live better.